ladies and gentlemen, it's time once again to step into the ring and have yourselves a podcast thrown out of epic proportions. It's time for the best, the greatest, the most sparkly, and the wonderful smelling podcast of all time. It's the Podcast Award nominated Rage Select podcast here on Rage Select. I'm Jeff.
I'm John, and I feel like I could have done that way better.
You feel like you could have done that way better?
Yeah.
Go for it, man. You show me what you got. Show me what you got.
Oh, Internet! It's time for your web-nominated award podcast, Rage Select,
You just
featuring Jeff and John.
You just said it louder. What? I was talking about how good it smelled and it was exciting.
Sorry.
I don't know. I feel like
I could have also gone with the the whole New Day thing, which I almost did with the "Don't you dare be sour!" Clap for your internet rated whatever. I already lost it. I fucked it up. Sorry. I don't even know what to say anymore.
You know that the podcast awards came back and it was just like, yeah, I don't fucking care. I didn't care. I cared when it seemed like we might have been able to win, and then then Brian Brushwood broke the podcast awards.
Yeah.
And there was just like, no, it was always such a BS thing anyway. Like, who cares? I just, it's an honor just to be nominated, I guess is what I'm saying. And also,
well, you know what's also kind of a shame, the fact that we never actually, other than the fact that you never, Rage Select has never won one of those, is the fact that Rage Select's anniversary kind of came and went, and there was no fanfare.
Okay, so yeah,
and I'm not blaming. I know you were super busy.
Yeah, dude, we got news, we got stuff, but like, there has been. I know that I talk about this in like loose terms, and some people have even figured out what I'm doing. But I've been like moonlighting in my spare time, doing a separate job. Hopefully by next year I won't have to have a fundraiser. I'll be able to kind of keep Rage Select on its own 2 feet.
I do want to clarify. I'm bringing it up not to be like, what the fuck, man, and hey, we just had an anniversary too.
Yep.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. But the day that happened, I had stayed up for like 26 or 27 hours, and I was just like under this time deadline to get this thing done, and it was just like everything was crashing down around me, and then somebody on Twitter was like, happy anniversary, and I was like, oh, God,
yeah,
fuck.
I only found out because of pictures of the one Ragecast where your head got shaved started popping up on my feed, and I remember that was done as an anniversary Ragecast, and then I reshared that image out to everybody on my Facebook just to annoy you.
Thanks for that. Yes, thanks for that. I really love that the fucking chubby, weird drunko. Yeah, that's great.
You're lucky, because I feel like there are worse pictures that I could have shared that are on my Facebook.
Sure.
That I opted to not share, which were specifically of Jason performing the deed of shaving your head.
Oh, you're talking about the one where I'm making that really weird face. I like that one way better than my big baby pose.
No. There's one where like you're hunched over the table and it looks like he's legitimately sodomizing you.
Oh my God. Okay.
There's another one where you can clearly see all your back hair, and there's another one where
I'm a hairy motherfucker, man.
And there's the one where you're making a weird face like that you're talking about. It's just there was a lot of weird pictures from that Ragecast.
Sure. Was that a year ago?
That was 2 years ago.
2 years ago. Yeah, because I know that I've been rocking the Chrome Dome for a while now. I just wasn't sure how long, because that was it. That was like was the starting date. He shaved my head during that, and then I just haven't gone back since.
Yeah, no, it was 2 years ago, and so I saw that. I shared that, and then I shared the picture of Jason's disgusted look on his face after he was done.
Yep.
Because that also made me laugh.
Yeah. So before we get started, I really haven't done much in the last week outside of I have this one thing, John.
Yeah.
Last week, I roasted a chicken.
So you just yelled insults at it the entire day?
Yes.
You told us the aristocrat, different versions of the aristocrats joke?
This HEB brand chicken is so fat. Its mother was a turkey. Ha! Here's the thing, is that I came across this post on Imager that was like 25 recipes you should learn how to make when you're in your 20s. And one of them was like, how to roast a chicken. It was a BuzzFeed article. And like...
Oh, there was your first mistake.
Well, but here's the thing. It's so easy. It was like super easy. You just like take a chicken and you like dry it out, put a bunch of salt on it, and then you have to tie it up. You have to like put it in bondage, and then you throw it in there, and like bam, chicken. And the whole chicken is cheap. It's like $6 for a whole chicken. That's like 4 meals. And I like roasted a bunch of vegetables. I was like doing all kinds of adulty shit. I chopped up diced some garlic and threw it in with my rice so it tasted all delicious and stuff. I was like, I want to make a video. I wish that somebody somewhere had taken me to one side and be like, cooking a chicken is really easy. You should just do it. So it was delicious. And that was kind of like the highlight of my week last week. And also, I ended up with a fidget spinner in my house, which it spins. That's what I can say about it. I don't understand entirely, John, why people are so mad at the existence of fidget spinners.
I can actually explain that.
Can you?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me what.
So
I don't understand.
They're being marketed as or at least they're being marketed as a kind of a therapy tool for people with anxiety and ADHD, things like that. In actuality, there is no study that says that they help in any way.
Sure.
It's completely like that's a completely false claim.
Okay.
Though, having said that, I do have friends that do have anxiety issues and do have ADHD. They have those, or they have like those fidget cubes.
Right.
And they actually are like, no, it does help because, I can, but the big problem, the reason everyone's getting upset by them is because parents are buying these for their kids, not to deal with ADHD or anxiety or whatever. They're just buying it for their kids.
Sure.
And then kids are taking it to school. And then one kid has it in class and he's just fidgeting with it in class. He's like, oh no, it's here for me to
relieve your stress,
so I can help pay attention and stuff like that in class. It's totally and then suddenly other kids like, oh, I want one too. Oh, and it becomes a distraction. And so schools are upset because now every fucking kid everywhere has one, and they're having to confiscate them because they're like, look, or tell them to put them up during. But then like one kid pulls it out and it's a distraction in class, and just that they're just annoyed by it.
Okay.
And so because teachers and stuff like that are upset by it, other people are upset by it because people like something.
Yeah, that's the one. I can understand administrators being like, this is a distraction. I'm trying to teach a class. I got a bunch of kids. They're dropping them. They're trying to do stuff with them and just spinning them or doing whatever. They're paying more attention to it. I don't understand that there seems to be a group of people that are just like, fuck those things. Fuck them.
Yeah.
I hate them. And I'm like, why? Why? What's so offensive about it? It's just a thing. It's like a little thing. I just don't get it. I mean, I do get it because it's the internet, and you're always going to find somebody.
It's the fact that it's the latest little quick fad, like everyone having laser pointers or whatever.
Pokemon Go.
It's the new fad that everyone is part of, that everyone is getting, or all the kids are getting into, and whatever. And the fact that some people are really hardcore pushing that. Well, they're for the helpment of your ADHD and anxiety, and like it's totally proven that that's what it's for. And if people would just stop buying them for their kids as toys and actually buy them for the reason that they were designed, then it wouldn't be an issue. And scientists have actually, or doctors have actually come out and go, no, that's not what that is. That's a completely false claim made up by companies to sell them.
All I know is that I'm getting ready to embark on that journey of trying to quit smoking again. And I'm probably going to have this thing.
Yeah. Well, it's like I actually personally want to get one of the fidget cubes.
Yeah.
Mainly for the fact that I do fidget. Like I do. Like you've seen me here just talking on the podcast. Like I'll mess with bottles or stuff while we're talking.
That's right.
My hands always have to be doing something.
A lot of whittling.
Yeah, a lot of whittling. Yeah, I've been whittling. But no, at my desk I have like a ton of action figures and Legos and things like that I'll be playing with while I'm talking to customers over the phone, or I'll be messing with in one hand and typing on the other. Or
do you ever hold up one of the action figures while a customer is being real shitty and then shake it back and forth, and in your head you're just like,
yes,
why can't you process my request faster?
Yeah. Or one of my favorite little pet peeves is it's like, is there anything else I can help you with today? And they're like, no, but I got one other question for you.
That's a thing.
Yeah, it's like, don't say no and then ask a question, motherfucker.
That's a thing.
Those are a contradiction.
I guess it's just like it seems so inconsequential of a thing that people being like lava angry at the existence of just the physical existence of a thing, to me, I'm just like, you need to go like volunteer or like
it's people need to calm down.
Write a book.
I mean,
or
the worst thing I heard about it, and this was actually kind of funny because I knew what they were, but I'd never actually seen one in person.
Right.
And I didn't really know anyone. I just kind of knew what they were.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I actually was interested in the fidget cubes and stuff like that.
Sure.
So I kind of knew about the spinner, but I hadn't seen one. And me and Amanda went to the movies a few weeks back. I forget what movie we went and saw.
Okay.
But we're sitting there, and Amanda starts looking around like, what the like kind of looking weird. She's like, what the fuck is wrong with the audio? And I'm like, what's I'm like whispering to her like, what? And she's like, don't you hear that noise? And I'm like, and then I look over, and there's a kid with just spinning it while he's watching the movie, sitting right next to her. And I'm like, are you talking about the toy that kid has? And she's like, that's totally what's fucking making the noise. And she's like, okay, well, now that I know what it is, I'm good.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was loud enough that we could hear it over the movie. But mind you, it was distracting because it was so low enough that we weren't sure what it was.
Yeah, but
it wasn't distracting past that.
I guess that to me falls into the same category as like if you took a clicky pen to the movies and you're just sitting there clicking it, and you're totally be within your rights to go, hey man, I'm trying to watch the movie. Can you please stop clicking your pen? Hey, I'm trying to watch this movie. Could you please stop spinning that?
And even then, like it was just the worrying. Like it was just,
right.
And then once she knew what it was, it stopped bothering her because she was like, okay, the only reason it bothered me is because I didn't know what the fuck was making that noise.
Yeah.
And truthfully, like at my desk, that's another thing I do. I'll sit there and I'll have a pen in my hand. I'll just click, clickety click at my desk because
you gotta do a thing.
Yeah. So I mean, I totally get that
because you're just getting really high. That might tamp down a little bit of the fidgetiness. No. Okay, fair enough.
But
well, speaking of things that people are irrationally upset about, rational. You know what?
I think you and I are rationally not upset about this.
Okay, so here's the thing. Before we move into this, I just want to say very briefly, and John, like if you have feelings, I feel like you should get them out there, but I don't want to spend too much time on this. I just want to say that I don't even want to talk about that stupid Wonder Woman bullshit because it's such a who could care? Who could even care?
There's no big deal. It's people.
Fidget Spinners, Wonder Woman, and Far Cry 5 are all in the same irrational hatred bucket this week. Because last week we had a teaser, and then this week, or actually like shortly after, or what, it was on Sunday, I guess, or Saturday, we got a full-on trailer.
No, it was the Friday. It was the day after we recorded the pod.
Yeah, okay.
We got the trailer on that, and then the Saturday we got the character.
Oh, the character trailers. Okay. You know what? I think it looks good.
Yeah, no, it looks great.
I think
and getting more information on the game was definitely kind of really good. Like especially the. I mean, do we want to talk about that first, or do we want to just kind of go into it?
Yeah.
I mean, the trailer. First of all, the trailer looks great. There's monologue by a person known as the Father.
Yeah.
I don't think they've actually said any name for his character other than the Father.
I think there is a name for it.
I don't know.
Father Davis or Father something.
But it's him giving a preach about how you're going to either be with him whether you want to or not.
Yeah.
And he's basically convinced that the world is going to end, so he's trying to.
Basically, the plot of the game, as near as I can tell, is that your character is a sheriff. You're the new sheriff in this town of Hope Falls, Montana.
Yes.
It's a fictitious Montana town.
The cool thing about it is you can choose to be either male or female, and you can choose the color of your character's skin.
Which why not? For a Far Cry game, it's almost like there's never been a lot to the characters that I feel like you couldn't have changed it. Well, maybe Far Cry 3 because there was some.
Now
weird...
they don't say anything about if there's an actual like character creator in the game.
Might just be some presets.
So it's possible. It's just you're literally just changing the color of your skin and the gender of your character, like no other changes.
Right. And then there was a dev interview where he was talking about going and kind of going to Montana and talking to people and how like. The people there were real tough, real kind of self-sufficient and tough, and that it was kind of an interesting idea of having this kind of religious leader come in and be like, I know what's best for everybody. I'm your salvation. You're falling on hard times. Believe in me and do everything that I say, and I'll get you out of this. And so your character is kind of getting dropped into the middle of this nonsense. And then there are obviously the character trailers that you were talking about where there's going to be allies that you get, which when we watched the development trailer, the guy had an awful lot of fancy words to basically say you're going to do a series of quests and then they're going to become like ally bros that you could take with you on missions.
But at the same time, he was like, but they're not just, quest givers. Like, it's not you go to them and they only give you quests. They do more than that. So it kind of insinuates that they also do things in the world. Like, you may stumble into a situation where one of the characters is already fucking attacking other people, the bad guys, and you can choose to step in and help them. Or
anyway, it looks real good. I mean, the graphics in it look very good. The setting of kind of rural America, it's interesting. I was actually thinking about that so many of our games are set in cities. I was trying to think of the last time that I saw a game that was set kind of outside of an American city, because you have things like Infamous Second Son was in Seattle, and Watch Dogs was in San Francisco. Watch Dogs 2 was in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Watch Dogs 1 was in Chicago. GTA is always kind of either a New York, LA variant. I guess in GTA 5 you do kind of end up
there is the LA there is the LA sticks or whatever that have always been in San Andreas and
right.
the
trailer park where Trevor lives and stuff like that. But it is a setting that I may not. I mean, sanity check me on this, John. Like, I'm trying to think of a game that's set in just like the American countryside. That's like an action game where you're kind of just in a rural area and not. It's not post-apocalyptic, and it's not like. I
mean, outside of like Red Dead, where it's actually a Western, but
yeah. I mean, maybe like Outlast 2 is kind of out in the
Outlast,
boonies, but that's not even a character action game. I just kind of like the idea of having, woods and small towns, and it's a different flavor than our standard metropolitan fake city whatever. Or
it's outside of I mean, it's a different flavor, especially
I mean, Ghost Recon Wildlands, but that was
but that's a fake other country or whatever.
Yeah, it's honestly a different. It just feels different from this trailer than it did there, between like the cows and the types of trees and stuff.
Yeah.
Bear chasing a guy.
Yeah. Now, I will say one of the things I'm actually kind of the reason I'm actually interested in this game is that one of the things that I've always thought would have made a really good, or interesting, I shouldn't say good, an interesting villain archetype is a cult leader.
Yeah.
Essentially. But not in the, video games kind of when they do cults, they do the Satan worshipping, wearing robes and going to, everyone, the nighttime is the right time, or, whatever, worship Cthulhu. I don't fucking know. But we're kind of cartoonish version of what cults are. Mm-hmm. And this one kind of seems like a more realistic version of a cult, where it's a guy comes in and says, hey, you guys are on, like you said earlier, he comes in and goes, hey, you guys are having hard times. I see that. I agree with you. You all think that the government's against you. Well, guess what? You're right. I'm going to tell you how to take back this country of ours and take back these lands and live better lives and keep the government away from you and blah, 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 blah. And so they start to listen to him, and he starts to essentially turn it into a cult, like an actual cult. And yes, he's perverting, religious views and things like that as well, because that's what those type of people do. But I feel like that aspect of cult leaders is something that's not really explored often in video games.
No, and in fact, the interesting thing, I was having a conversation with somebody about this, where we actually understand how cults work so well that there's actually just a playbook to how you do it, like about love bombing people and then like isolating them from family and friends.
Yeah.
Like there's a whole just step-by-step thing about how that works. And I think it's interesting.
And I do like the fact that, that not everyone in this town is with the cult or with the group or whatever, is with the bad guys, that not everyone's bad guys. There are people of all different types that are on your side, essentially, as the cop.
Right.
It's not it's the dumb hick rednecks versus the law enforcement and the cops. It's not that at all.
That's the other thing I was just thinking about, was that Far Cry 3 but Far Cry 4 actually had, if you guys think back to the plot of Far Cry 4, it had a fair amount of nuance, because you were joining up with the Resistance, but the game would constantly be like, the Resistance needs money, so I want to turn this base that you captured into a farm for poppies so we can make heroin, because we need money to buy guns to fight against pagan men. And do you head down this morally gray road in order to do this? Like, there was a whole thing with the brother and sister and how they had different methods, and some of them were like, there were some real sketchy choices. And I think that in a game like this, it could work out really well if there were some gray moral choices about, like, this person believes in the cult, but they're not violent, and they want to just be left alone, but, like, they're in a thing that you need for your mission. And, like, what do? Do you burn down their house to do a thing, or do you, like, leave them alone and then potentially blah, blah, blah? Like, I think there's a lot of room for interesting storytelling, and in spite of everything, Far Cry 4, like I said, 3 kind of, but 4 really had some interesting stuff going on.
Yeah.
Like, not all, but...
I felt like the interesting stuff kind of in Far Cry 4 was kind of a little more muted than I would have liked.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes I kind of wish that it's like they were like, oh, they're going to go for it. No, they really didn't go for it. Like, they showed it, but they didn't go for it.
Right.
And I'm kind of hoping that they just go, you know what? Let's go for it. Let's show bad, let's show good, and then let's also explore the gray.
Right.
And I think the setting is great. I think the villain is the idea of the villain is great. I want to see more about it.
Hell, even the character trailers of the people.
The character
that go
trailers.
With you.
Oh yeah, the Pastor Jerome fucking trailer is fucking awesome. I thought I actually love that one.
I liked all 3 of them.
Yeah, all
I
3 are
the guy
great.
With the airplane, Nick Rye.
Yeah.
Puts the big gun on his plane at the end. Yeah,
and even the female bar owner,
Mary May.
Yeah, Mary May. She was.
These trailers, like, these are obviously just like straight up cinematic trailers. And got some good looking people, man.
Yeah.
Like, there's some good looking faces recently in video games.
Yeah.
But yeah, all told, I'm real excited. I kind of wish it was coming out this year, because it's not coming out until next year. But
that was actually, when I saw that, I was like, I was kind of hoping to get it for Christmas.
Yeah.
But then again, having said that, while I like the Far Cry games, I'm not a huge Far Cry fan.
Okay.
Like, I liked Far Cry 3, but I didn't think it was great. I liked Far Cry 4 a little bit more, but I didn't think it was great. I kind of was muted, kind of meh on Primal. I fucking loved Far Cry Blood Dragon.
I like the first half of Primal, but all the Far Cry games, to me, they always have the same problem. They're too fucking long. There's too much. And by the time you're pushing to the last part of the map, like, I remember Far Cry 4 where I was just playing it, and I was playing it, and I was playing it, and I was playing it, and then suddenly there was a mission where it was like, oh, you have to open up this gate. What's on the other side of the gate? The other half of the map. And it was like, oh, geez, Far Cry. Like, I've been playing this for a while now. Like, maybe tone
it down.
Maybe reel it back a little bit. Yeah. Maybe, oh, okay, never mind. I don't want to watch this guy talk about stuff. So I don't know. I actually think but I think that's a problem that I have with modern video games.
Yeah.
It's just I think they're too big and too much fluff and not enough.
I feel like modern open world games.
Yes, exactly.
Like, I feel like I would like to see a scale back to more singular experiences, like not necessarily like long hallways or whatever, but just like not like very story driven, very not open world, like Doom, or
Max Payne 2, right?
Max Payne 2,
yeah.
Or, like I said, Doom, which you guys are playing on Patreon. Like, that's fucking great.
Sequential Saturday,
or sequential, not Patreon, yeah, Sequential Saturday. You guys are playing it for sequential, and that's great. Like, stuff like kind of like that. I want to see more of that, where it's not necessarily, oh, you can go anywhere in the game at any time.
You know what I would point to that I feel like is a good example of what I would like to see more of. And I'm sorry that I keep doing this, and this is not just for segue, because we're going to talk about this game, but we're going to come back to it later. Is Hitman. The levels in Hitman were large, and they had a lot going on in them, but it was all relevant. It was all relevant to a challenge or to a certain type of assassination or doing whatever. None of it was just chaff. Like when you were in Hokkaido, the last one, it's like that whole hospital, every room was a room, and they either put a thing in that you would potentially need for a certain type of assassination, or it was a setup for a thing, and it was all very dense. And that's what I want, is I want them, instead of having, like, I would be happy if the map for Far Cry 5 was the size of a small town, but every one of those buildings had every room and every closet was modeled. If it was like a very fully formed area that was not just like, well, this house is just scenery. This is just four walls, propped up to look like a house. And that if everything was very detailed and then it was all loaded into a smaller area, I like that more because it allows you to get very intimately familiar with the area. It's more like such a cliche of even myself, John. It's like the Dark Souls approach of having like an area that is smaller and compact, but has a lot of importance in the different things that are going on in it. But I'm sorry, I feel like I cut you off 4 times during that little rant.
No, I was gonna say it's like that is kind of what I'm saying. It's like I do feel like we're getting a lot of, and I get why people are doing it, why developers are doing it. A lot of people are just like everything has to be a massive open world game,
sure,
with some type of online connectivity and things, and because they want to extend the life of the game. They don't want to just release it and be done with it. Yep. Like it's not and I don't mean like be done with it and like that it's never patched or there's no DLC. They want you to buy Destiny and continue playing Destiny for years on end.
Yeah.
That's what they want. They want Dragon Age Inquisition or Witcher 3 where you're playing it and you're putting like over 100 hours into the game and you're still not done.
Oh yeah.
That's
even I gave Matt Frank my copy of Injustice 2 because those fucking multiverses were just like, hey, I'm just gonna play one more. Play one more.
And that's what I feel like developers are trying to do. They're trying to, instead of making games that will tell you a story, they want to give you an environment for you to go discover your own story for the game,
which I fucking loathe. I loathe that concept.
And it's
you know what, here's a perfect example, and after this we'll move on. LA Noire.
Yeah,
if LA Noire had been a series of tightly contained levels and not an open world, I probably would have liked the game more.
I want to say we talked about this either on a podcast or video or...
Yeah, it was on a podcast not too long ago.
Yeah, you and I had the same... Yeah, had that conversation where we brought up, had that been a little bit more of a directed experience.
There was just no reason... It was an interesting experiment for them to recreate L.A.
Yeah.
But there just was no... There was no benefit to like driving for the 60th time from the police office to whatever. Yeah. Anyway, let's not go down that road. So we got a couple more things to talk about real fast about Mr. Ubisoft before we move on. First is that Ubisoft has a new logo.
Again. Not recent. They didn't recently. I mean, this is the first time they've changed it in like 15 years or something like that.
Yeah, it was. This is the 4th logo that they've had.
I really love their 80s logo.
Oh, like the one that's a big pink UB.
Yeah, it looks like Miami Vice logo.
Yeah. I think this logo looks fucking terrible.
I think it looks like the other logo, but just white outlines instead of an actual...
I don't understand. Like, I just don't know if they're trying to mess with my artistic eye, but these breaks in 2 places where the line doesn't mesh into the swirl, and then in their O and their logo, how the O is broken, and I'm just like, what? Did somebody break your logo, your new logo, Ubisoft? Put it back together. Like, make this is a circle, and this is a thing. Like, I don't know. This is such inconsequential news, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. But they also had a video where they basically said, oh, we're doing the E3 2017 lineup reveal, and a lot of it is stuff that we already know about, but then there's a lot of stuff that's like scene deleted, game to be announced at E3, like game to be announced by Yves Guillemot, So I thought that this is always a nice place for us to be able to do some wild speculation. I'm a big fan of wild speculation, John. What could Ubisoft be? I'm going to say maybe 3 things from both of us that Ubisoft could be announcing at E3 this year.
New Assassin's Creed.
New Assassin's Creed?
It leaked.
Oh, did it?
No, well, the name leaked.
Oh, okay.
I think it's like Assassin's Creed Odyssey or something like that.
Okay, so new Assassin's Creed. Give me maybe 2 more that you think could possibly...
I'm trying to think what's Ubisoft. Well, you know what? There's one thing that's almost always guaranteed to be at an Ubisoft press conference.
Uh-huh.
A new Just Dance.
That couldn't be what they're talking about. That could not be what they're talking about.
It's always guaranteed.
Yeah,
every year.
Yeah. Well, okay, we know there's a Far Cry. We know there's an Assassin's Creed. Am I just... Am I just going to have to give up on ever seeing a new Splinter Cell game, John? Am I just going to have my heart broken by Steep 2 or For Honor's 4th DLC or The Division 2?
I mean, yeah, there'll probably be an announcement for DLC, for more DLC for For Honor. I wouldn't be surprised because, again, games have to be platforms and long-running experiences.
I mean, as much as I'd love to bash on The Division, every time I see a report, it still has several million people playing it. And
so, is it do you think, because I remember they said it's not dead.
Yeah.
Do you think that we might get a Beyond Good and Evil 2 trailer or something? Or
I thought there was a news story where the dude specifically said, like, you ain't going to see this at E3.
Okay, yeah, no, you may be right.
I think.
You may be right. Now that you mention it, I think you're right. I couldn't remember if anything had been said.
Call of Juarez?
Oh, God, I hope not.
Juarez?
I hope not.
God damn, Splinter Cell Blacklist is 2013. Rage Select is 4 years old, and so is the last goddamn Splinter Cell game. Why can't I just have a Splinter Cell game? I like the Splinter Cell franchise.
I mean, there's definitely going to be some Tom Clancy-related game.
It's probably going to be Rainbow Six Patriots 2 or The Division 2. It's probably going to be The Division 2, to be honest. I mean, like, the thing is that Splinter Cell, I don't think they can figure out a way to make it... There's a criticism out there. I think I might have heard it first from Jim Sterling, but it might have been somewhere else, that Ubisoft just makes the same game over and over and over again with a slightly different skin on it, right? That you're always going to have towers, quest givers, a big open world, an upgrade mechanic, and that's it. And
they even made that for a racing game.
Yeah.
There's my next one. The Crew 2.
The Crew 2. Between Assassin's Creed, The Crew, Division, Watch Dogs, like, they've been making that same goddamn game. Far Cry, they've been making the same goddamn game over and over again, just with a different look to it.
Yeah, one's a car game, one's a stealth action game, one's a fucking third-person hacking game, one's fucking first-person.
Was different.
Yeah.
It was at least a little bit different. I enjoyed my time with For Honor, but I don't think that Assassin's Creed fits into that mold, and I feel like all they want to do is make that same game. I don't know. To be honest, though, Ubisoft is one company that, like, I feel like they usually have one different thing. Like, as much as I didn't care for Steep, it was kind of a weird thing to be like, it's an open world snowboarding game. Also, same exact goddamn thing, right? Of explore a big open map. There's a bunch of challenges, towers, open stuff up. But, like,
do you think, like, and again, this is something else I can't remember. Do you remember that Easter egg thing in Watch Dogs 2? About that, like, space...
Oh, yeah!
Did we ever hear if that was actually something that ended up getting canceled, or if it's something that was just still in development? It was just, they put it in the game as kind of a little throwaway?
I don't know. That would be cool, though. Yeah, and that would be an interesting... They could segue into that with some kind of little video about Marcus taking it, But, yeah, where it was just, like, a bunch of bright spaceships and then, like, twanging guitar music.
Yeah.
And it was like... I want to play that game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Because I vaguely remember them actually commenting on it.
Yeah.
But I don't remember if they actually said, like, I know they said it was a real game that they were working on.
Right.
And then I vaguely remember them saying something else about it. But then I don't remember what was said. So, I don't know.
Game footage. I feel like I'm typing in things that are probably not going to get me here's oh, well, this is just part of the game. I don't know. To be honest, we'll have to see. We could probably spend some time. I don't remember whether they I
am trying to think of what that's the thing from the game.
Let's see. Is injection type of smart? Yeah, this is just a website talking about it.
Yeah, I'm wondering, like, I'm trying to think of, like, what game. Like, I feel like they always have one game that kind of comes out of, like what? Like, either it's a new IP or it's the reveal of the next version of whatever new version of a franchise they're doing. Like, last year they had Steep that kind of came out of nowhere, and I feel like they felt like it was going to have a bigger impact than it did, and it just didn't because it was Steep.
It was...
Why?
I mean, like, if that's what you're in for, a kind of skate style, like, multiplayer online open world snowboarding paraglide. Okay,
with towers.
Fine, but I wasn't. Like,
Yeah.
I just was. I mean, I could see what it was and I could see the appeal, but I just wasn't interested.
Yeah. Like I said, there's always going to be a Just Dance game. I'm sorry, it's just always going to be a Just Dance game.
Sure, it makes them shitload of money.
Yeah.
There's a Rabbids versus Mario.
Yeah,
Probably,
that's the other one that they'll probably talk
they'll
about.
show South Park again, even though it's coming out this year. They'll probably show some For Honor footage. They'll probably have For Honor DLC. They'll probably have that Assassin's Creed. They might tease that. And then I bet it's going to be like the Division 2. I bet that it's going to be that. I just don't see. I don't see Splinter Cell coming back. I just don't. Or maybe it's a brand new thing. Maybe it's a new Tom Clancy series.
Yeah.
What have we seen from Tom Clancy in a while? We got Rainbow Six, Splinter Cell, The Division,
Ghost Recon.
Ghost Recon. We already had one of those.
Probably also be DLC for Ghost Recons.
Maybe, yeah. I really need to go back. I never really got to dig into that.
Apparently,
game.
I've heard that there was a DLC that was recently released for Ghost Recon that I've heard is decent.
Pretty good, yeah. Anyway, well, enough about Ubisoft. Let's talk about Square Enix for a while. Good news, everybody. Square Enix and People Can Fly, the developers of Bulletstorm, one of my favorite games of all time, are teaming up to make a new AAA game.
It's a brand new IP.
Brand new IP.
So don't think it's Bulletstorm 2.
Not Bulletstorm 2.
That's
not cool because you know what? I don't feel like People Can Fly have gotten an opportunity to do anything since Bulletstorm because they made Gears of War Judgment, but that was obviously with tight control from Microsoft. Like
yeah,
they were
I feel like there was one other game.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I think it was. But it was, if I'm not mistaken, it was them doing work on another game for on another property that was not theirs.
God damn, I really need to. I'm using Mozilla because my other browser keeps crashing. Gears of War 3, Gears of War Judgment, Bulletstorm Full Clip Edition, Fortnite.
Oh. Okay, yeah, they did some work on Fortnite.
Where the fuck? That's been MIA for a long time.
Yeah, it has.
I played that game one time. Anyway, so that's good. That's okay. After what happened with IO, I don't want People Can Fly to cozy up too close to Square Enix because the last fucking thing I want is for them to make one really good game and then for Square Enix to toss them out to the wolves.
Well, the way this comes off is, the thing is that Square Enix bought IO, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
They're not buying the People Can Fly. They're just working with them.
No, I know. It's just that Square Enix has turned. Square Enix is kind of heading in the direction of my shit list these days because they just. And a lot of it is that IO thing, but some of it is just like the way that Deus Ex came out, and kind of there's some implications about that Square Enix forced Eidos Montreal to put like you can go online and just buy Praxis points online and whatever, and that they forced this like that dumb hacking minigame into the development of Deus Ex, and that it was actually then chopped to make a sequel to that,
and then there was the weird fucked up pre-order thing that
and I don't know. I mean, Square Enix is a mixed bag. I feel like they are neither good nor evil. They are fucking neutral. They do some fucked up stuff and then they don't do, I don't know. The IO thing is really still really sticking in my craw.
Yeah.
But I like People Can Fly. I hope they get a chance to make a game because I want to see what kind of craziness they can come up with.
Yeah, I want to see what else they can do.
Next up, there was a big earnings call, and that's why we got a lot of this stuff. The next game from the most blandly named development studio of all time, Team Tokyo RPG or whatever it is, the Tokyo RPG Factory that made I Am Setsuna has a new game that's coming out called what's it called again? Lost Sphere, and Sphere is SPHEAR. And this is another kind of like I Am Setsuna top-down, kind of a throwback RPG.
I'm okay with that. I Am Setsuna wasn't that bad.
I want to get it on my Switch because I feel like that would be a nice place that I could play a little bit of it and then put it up and then play a little bit more of it. But yeah, it's like top-down, kind of stylized. It kind of looks like a nice version of like Bravely Second or something.
Yeah.
And then the battles look very like kind of Chrono Triggery, kind of like I Am Setsuna a little bit. You know what? If Square wants to have this Tokyo RPG studio,
RPG Factory
cranking out like old school JRPGs that they can turn around in a year, that they can make in a year or two, I'm great with that. Yeah,
do it.
Fucking do the shit out of that. It's a cute little trailer. It seems like the world is. There's a lot of stuff that's turned like the world is disappearing a little bit, and you and your friends have to bring the world back to life. Great, fuck. I bet there's a crystal somewhere and whatever. But this looks fun, and I would totally play it.
Yeah.
So that happened. Also, apparently, Square is. Okay, so I didn't understand this, but apparently CyberConnect 2 was actually the studio that was making Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yeah.
This week, Square basically booted them out and moved development of Final Fantasy VII Remake to Square proper and not an outsourced company.
Okay.
There's not really a why for that. There was an article that's referenced, and this is a Kotaku story, a while back saying that in a 2015 interview with Famitsu, Yoshinori Kitase said that Nomura had complained about the CyberConnect 2 trailer for the Final Fantasy VII Remake and wanted it done in a more Square Enix style, that the trailer that they had put out wasn't Square Enix-y enough for him. I'm like, all right. Does that mean like a bunch of words about crystals on the screen and then like a little action and then a few more words about crystals? But
probably.
Can't tell if this is a good thing or a bad thing because we literally just don't get to see anything for Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
So
maybe they'll actually, come out and be like, hey, it's coming out in a lot sooner than we originally told you.
Guess what? No is the answer to that.
Yeah. No, I say that facetiously.
Both. So this is off of a Game Informer story from the same earnings call where both titles are found on a slide. This is Kingdom Hearts 3 and the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Both titles are found on a slide indicating releases planned for March of 2018 fiscal year and beyond. An accompanying quote from Square Enix president and representative director Yosuke Matsuda says, "We plan to launch each of these upcoming titles in the next 3 years or so." Now, I will like to say briefly that at no point in the history of all of mankind, from the beginning of video gaming until now, has Square Enix been the kind of company to be like, we got to get this shit out. We got to get this new Final Fantasy game on shelves. Nobody's pushing anything back. We have to finish it because we told them it would be out in 2017. So we have to put it out in 2017. They are one of the most dragging their feet, taking as long as they want to developers in the history of all video game developers.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy games come out like every 4 years or something like that, and it's only gotten worse.
Longer than that.
Yeah. It's only gotten worse over time. I mean, what?
Unless you count the online update releases, then maybe, every 4 years.
Well, let's see. PlayStation 2. Which Final Fantasies were on the PlayStation 2? 10, 11, 12.
Yes.
So in the full 10-year cycle of the PS2, you had 3 releases, and one of those was an MMO. PS3, 13... That's 13, 13, 2, 13, 3. So all of the 13s came out on the PlayStation 3. PS4 so far has had 14 and 15, but it's worth noting that 14 is another MMO and 15 was in development for the PS3 and then moved to the PS4 eventually because it took so goddamn long.
10 years.
Yeah. So let nobody, like, if you're the kind of person out there that's like, oh man, I'm going to pee my pants if I don't play that new Square Enix game, you just go ahead and get some new pants, brothers and sisters, because that ain't happening.
And for all you Kingdom Hearts people, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I feel
that game ain't ever coming out. That's going to be one of those games that they're always going to be like, comes out in the next 5 years. 5 years passes. Sometime within the next 3 years.
I feel like the way to do it is the way that I do it, where you just say to yourself, that Kingdom Hearts game, never coming out. And then one day you'll be like, oh shit, it's coming out next week. Oh, I wasn't paying attention. Just enjoy the other video games that exist in the world. Go play I Am Setsuna or Doom or Friday the 13th or whatever,
Plus that game's plots are fucking nonsensical.
Kingdom Hearts 3?
All the Kingdom Hearts games.
I don't even know. Let's see. And I'm going to skip this story, but last but certainly not least, this is a weird kind of I don't know. Like, there was a question about the whole IO sale, about whether IO was going to hold the rights to Hitman.
Yes.
And the answer is yes, they definitely are going to be taking those rights with them. I really, really, really hope they get bought by a company. I hope they get bought by the right company. Because, like, People Can Fly made Bulletstorm. Then they got bought by Microsoft and were immediately moved to make a Gears of War game, a prequel spin-off Gears of War game, because they just needed a studio. I really desperately hope that IO doesn't get picked up by a company. I mean, I hope the people there get to keep their jobs, the people that are left.
Well, I know there's been some people have been let go.
That was last week. We talked about that. But I just hope that they don't get bought by a company that then puts them to work on one of their IPs.
Or bought by a company that then fires them all and just keeps the IP.
That's, another thing that could happen. Maybe that's they get bought by Ubisoft and then they have to make the next Splinter Cell game. Yay! Question mark? I don't know. All I know is I want Season 2 of Hitman, and I'm not going to stop bitching and moaning and complaining about it until I get it. All of you out there who are tired of it, look on the bright side. I could be bitching and moaning about Dark Souls and Metal Gear, but I'm not. I'm bitching and moaning about Hitman. In an incredibly smart move, Monster Hunter Double Cross is coming to the Switch.
That is an incredibly smart move.
Yes. So this is the 3DS Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter X was on the 3DS.
Yeah,
How did this go? Let's see. The 3DS game Monster Hunter Double Cross is an enhanced version of Monster Hunter X. So it was one of those things where they put out Monster Hunter X and they put out Monster Hunter Double Cross,
yes,
which is just 2 X's, as like because Japan does that shit where they like release the same game, but it's got like a bunch of new updates and
it's got like all the DLC and a bunch of new updates as well, and like a little bit more polished graphics or whatever.
Yeah. And so now they're bringing the franchise to the Switch, and
which they should.
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. I've never really been able to get all the way into the Monster Hunter franchise, in spite of the fact that it apparently has some common gameplay tropes. With a lot of people will talk about, well, if you like the Souls series, try out Monster Hunter. But I think that having it on the Switch would actually be a good thing, because I never wanted to play it on the 3DS because I don't like the
nub,
the disc. Yeah, like I don't like it when a game on the 3DS makes me use that disc or the little nub. I like a full on. I got big thumbs. I need a big controller for a big thumbed man. Thumbs of steel. So I think that having it on there, and I know that they put out one of them on the Wii U, but the Wii U, like I would have to plug in my Wii U, and that just didn't happen very often. So that's
at least with your Switch, you can not have to plug it into something.
No, that's one of the. I played a shitload of Mario Kart, because the thing is that I don't have my Switch hooked up to my TV. I just have it in the cradle over there. I just pick it up and then just go downstairs and play some Mario Kart and watch TV. You know, so this I feel like would be kind of cool and maybe a way for me to get into the series. I don't know. Have you ever played any Monster Hunters?
I did a little bit. It was too MMO-y for me.
Okay.
I'm not really a fan of MMOs. Like, it's like I can see that they're good, but they just become super boring to me really quick.
Yeah,
and
there's
Monster Hunter and a few other games by that same studio, I think, or similar titles to Monster Hunter. Like, what is it, the Xenosaga, Xenogears, whatever it is?
I don't feel like that had anything to do with Monster Hunter.
Okay, maybe not. But
that was a faux MMO.
Yeah,
the way that it played, right, was that it was. Like
I always felt that Monster Hunter kind of played the same way.
No, Monster Hunter's press a button, swing a sword, like Dark Souls style.
Yeah, no, I know, but I'm just saying that's how it feels like an MMO, like an action MMO.
Okay, it is very
go
loose.
Here, get quest, go kill this creature, go back, get another quest, go kill that creature.
Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how it goes, but I still think it's a good move.
Yeah, and I agree.
All right, let's. We're gonna rip through some of the last of these stories real quick. I'm gonna kill off. Go watch the trailer for this Extinction game. Seems kind of interesting. It's about a guy, and he's like chopping the heads off of literal like giant.
Oh yeah. I thought that looked really cool.
Yeah, it looks cool. Not a lot of information.
And it's by oh god, the studio. It's like a studio that the games that they've released are not. Oh, Dive Kick. The studio that made Dive Kick.
Oh, Iron Galaxy.
Yeah, it's the studio they made Dive Kick and worked on Killer Instinct.
Yeah.
And then now they're doing this.
They got bought by Amazon.
Yeah.
So yeah, check it out. Go look at it. Looks real cool. Take-Two bought Kerbal Space Program.
Yeah.
Seems like from all reports that they're going to leave them alone. The squad's going to keep doing what they keep doing with the Kerbal thing, and that Take-Two is going to publish it. I think that's great, as long as they don't try to fuck with my Kerbals. And for those of you out there asking the question in your head, yes, they're still doing updates for Kerbal Space Program because they ain't never done with fucking Kerbal Space Program.
Science, motherfuckers.
Yeah. And if you haven't played Kerbal Space Program, go play Kerbal Space Program. But know that you will have to learn math and how to do things. But it's the most fun math you'll ever learn. Do a gravity turn. Make sure to reduce your thing to under 600 kilometers per second or whatever.
Yeah, it's great the fact that someone like Jeff or myself can really get into this game. Like,
love Kerbal Space Program.
Yeah, and but also at the same time, so can younger people. Like that's the great thing about it, is that it's silly enough to entice someone who is younger, who may not be like, I don't want to do this whole math thing, but it's silly enough to kind of get their attention with that, and intricate enough that they may not think that they're actually learning something, but then they're totally learning.
It's deceptive because you start playing it and you're just like, oh, it's like Minecraft, but I got a rocket part. Put the rocket parts together, shoot into space. Yay, I win, I did it. And then like you get up to like go to orbit and you're like, why can't I do this? Gravity sucks. I put more rockets on it, but that just made my thing heavier. Anyway, everybody knows how much I like Kerbal Space Program. Go play it. Take-Two bottom, great. There's a Life is Strange prequel coming.
It was leaked, yeah.
It was leaked. For those of you who have an interest in Life is Strange, that's happening.
I wonder how it's a prequel, but yeah, sure.
I don't really know the plot of Life is Strange, so I don't know.
I don't know, but I do know that Life is Strange is going to be on the PlayStation Plus for June, so... if you've ever been interested in Life is Strange, you can have a chance to play it so that they can then announce Life is Strange 2 at E3.
Yeah. And now for the part of the show that I like to call Release Dates and You. Middle-earth Shadow of War was pushed back from September to October?
Yes.
No, August 22nd, and now it's October 10th. So it's pushed back a couple months. I can't... That game looks so good, you take all the time you want. The only thing I worry about is that it might end up being another case of, I don't know what else is coming out in October. I'm not that up on the release dates, and I don't feel like we have them because we need to get past E3 to really get an idea of what all is coming out this year. I just hope that it doesn't get muddied with other releases that close to the end of the year. I think October's still cool, but we'll see. Battle Chasers Night War, which looks incredible, from THQ Nordic, the folks that brought us Darksiders.
Is THQ Nordic's releasing it?
It says publisher THQ Nordic.
Oh, I didn't know that they were publishing it. But it's made by Airship Games.
Oh yeah, whatever the
Joe Madura's company that he founded after fucking THQ went to shit.
Vigil was the one. Yeah. Anyway. Release date, October 3rd.
Yeah.
So we're going to have that in October as well. And also, last but not least, Pyre, the Supergiant Games' newest game, the makers of Bastion and Transistor.
Yeah.
That is now has a release date, which is July 25th. So not that long away.
Yeah.
It's going to be $20. And, yep. And finally, I like to throw a little fun thing at the end. I don't know if you saw this, John, but somebody out there used Grand Theft Auto 5 to basically, they took the soundtrack of Terminator 2 and then they remade the scenes in Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yeah.
This is pretty fun, and I feel like whoever this was did a real good job. I'm not even sure. I like watching it because I'm not even sure how they did some of this stuff, like where the locations are that they're at, or how they did, there's the whole T-1000 with, holes in its chest.
That's just a skin.
Oh, is it?
I would assume. It's a thing that they modded into the game.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, obviously, I guess. But, yeah, it's pretty fun. I don't know. it's kind of an interesting exercise of just watching how they've tried to recreate it shot for shot. So the talking doesn't work slightly so well. We're watching this and watching these characters try to talk. Their mouths look like they're attached to rubber bands. But yeah, give it a shot if you're out there looking for a thing to do this weekend. You're just like, it's not. It's only an hour. It's not the entire movie. It's mostly just like action scenes. But it's pretty fun. So give it a shot. Stick around because we're going to be back in just a minute. We're going to answer some emails. So
what you're saying is, I'll be back.
Better segues than I. And we're back. It's back. It's time for more Rage Select podcast right here on Rage Select. And we have questions to answer.
Ooh,
John.
I like questions.
Yeah, good. Great. Mail at rageselect.com is the email address to send your questions into. And the first one this week comes in from Santiago, who says, "Hey, Jeff and John. Love the show on the site. Your dulcet tones are the only thing keeping me awake and laughing during every New York / Long Islanders rite of passage delivering pizzas. Seriously, if you live in New York or on Long Island, you're going to end up doing it one way or another if you need cash. Anyway, my question is related to Overwatch, namely, how would you fix the loot box system? Well, I'm glad that the unlocks in the game are purely cosmetic. The drops are bullshit. I'll play for hours to level up or play arcade for daily rewards, but I'm lucky to get one legendary out of 20 loot boxes. It's always a skin for a character I don't play, i.e. Zarya or Diva. You should play Diva, man. Diva's great. Most of the time, it's just useless sprays and icons. Personally, I think they should keep the loot boxes, but have them drop tokens. Tokens for skin, for emotes, etc. So when you do get a skin token, you can spend it and get the skin you want for the character you like to play. I know they sometimes drop currency, but at most it's like 50 coins, and the cool skins are 1,000. Yeah. Anyway, that's my 2 cents on the subject. Love to hear yours. Sincerely, Santiago.
I will say the newest event that's currently going on,
the anniversary
event, I was a little pissed off because the skins that are for the anniversary event are actually the hardest skins to get in all of the games. They drop less than any other skin.
Oh, wow.
In the history of the game. In the entire year that the game has been out, the ratio of drop is less than all of them.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like someone actually like did the math or was able to find the algorithm that said what the percentage is, and it's like even less than what he mentioned the drop rate was, because also they're also like, instead of being like, what is it, the average event exclusive skin is like 1,000, maybe 3,000 at most. Like these are 6,000. Like they even cost more.
Wow.
To get.
Okay.
Like if you have the coins, and it's just like, it really made me just kind of go, well, fuck that. I'm the only one I wanted was the Sentai Genji, and
so
I don't even fucking play Genji, and I wanted the goddamn Sentai Genji.
You and Matt Frank both. Matt Frank doesn't even play Overwatch. I feel like for my money, if you wanted, so for me, the loot system, the loot crate,
outside of that,
doesn't bother me.
Outside of that, it doesn't really bother me
all that much because it is optional and cosmetic. So and especially because I think that the Overwatch characters are so iconic that I like some of the other skins, but I don't like ever want to keep them on. Like I bought the game on the PS4, so you get the like Commander, the Morrison skin, right? For Soldier 76. No, that's Reaper.
No,
I think you got that one too, though, right? Blackwatch Reyes, and then the Commander Morrison.
Yeah.
But I never really wanted to have those turned on because I really liked the look of the base Overwatch team. So as much as I like I like looking at the skins, like I never use them even when I have them.
I like some of Lucio's special event skins because they change the music that his thing plays.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Like the new one for the event, the jazzy Lucio, actually plays jazz music.
Oh, that's cool.
But instead of the techno dance mix that he normally does. I also, there's a couple that I've actually gotten that I keep, like that I do keep on there, because there have been some that I'm just like, oh man, this was fucking badass, I'm keeping this one. For the other skins, like I like having Winston with a mustache. I don't know why. I like Winston wearing a fake mustache. I think it's the most hilarious thing ever.
Okay. Are you excited about? That's a story that I axed in the beginning about the fact that it looks like the next level is going to be the moon facility.
Yeah, it got released on the PTR already.
Oh, did it? Okay,
yeah,
I didn't
Lunar
know it got
Colony.
that far.
It's apparently a sniper's dream. The level is really
like wide open.
Well, it's a lot of sniper perches.
Oh, okay.
Perches to get to hide in.
Okay.
And snipe. But it's on the lunar colony, and that some people are even suspecting that there might be a new character that may be another gorilla.
Yeah.
That is like the anti. Winston.
Because there was an uprising, right?
Yeah,
That's the lore is that they were doing experiments, and that then there was an uprising on the moon, and that all the monkeys they were experimenting on like took the place over or whatever.
Yeah,
but
just all the human colony people disappeared. Like they didn't say like just one day all the humans were gone, and the monkeys were on there, and then Winston didn't feel at home there anymore, and escaped.
Okay.
And he's the only one to have escaped.
Okay.
And so that's in the lore of it is that what happened to those people? Did the gorillas kill them all? There's some like hints that the gorillas may have shoved them all out the airlock onto the moon. So
you just play it on a level, and then like by the window, like a skeleton just comes like floating by.
That's and that's the thing is that they even state that there's mysteries and hints and stuff of what happened in the level. Like,
cool.
Like
okay.
I think if you go into the one room where all the spacesuits are, all but Professor Winston, the guy who in the guy with
the glasses in the trailer,
it was kind of like a father figure to Winston.
Mm-hmm.
His suit is the only one that's missing. So like there's like different stuff, but it's on the PTR right now. Hopefully it'll come out to a regular game soon.
I think that as far as quote fixing the loot box system goes, I mean the thing is that. So I understand the frustration with loot boxes. I'm not quite as invested in them as like you or Amanda are, but I do understand. The main thing that I try to keep in mind is the cash that they're ending up generating from people who buy loot boxes is one of the reasons why.
Oh yeah, no, totally.
The character updates are free, so the new characters that are added into the games. You have to have money to do the dev time on that stuff, to put in new maps and new characters, new stuff.
Yeah, totally.
And although Blizzard is already just a cash-making machine, like they have to have a source of income. So I kind of consider that to be the trade-off, right? Is that like if it was easier to get the skins, or if they like unlocked right instead of being a random chance,
people would be less inclined to buy them.
Then you would probably be paying for new characters and map packs like you do in like Call of Duty or something like that, or Heroes of the Storm, the way that you can buy characters in Heroes of the Storm. So I feel like that system alleviates that. If you were, though, going to ask me to sit down and quote unquote fix the system, I would look at it as some of those exclusive skins that you can't even buy with in-game currency.
Oh, you can buy all of them with in-game currency just during the time of the event.
Right, but once the event is over, I can't get Witch Mercy right
until the next Halloween event.
Well, I don't know. Have we ever had an overlap?
We haven't had an overlap yet, but they have said that those skins will become available
next time. Okay.
Because they said every event that they've had during this first year, they will have every year.
Okay. See, I would say
that's not to say that a new event won't have even more skins.
Right. To say that 2 or 3 years out, maybe give you the opportunity for $5 to buy all the Olympic skins, right?
Yeah.
All the stuff if you want to chuck. I could see them maybe doing a thing where if the sales on if people aren't trying to acquire this particular skin event anymore, let people just buy it outright for cash. But there's got to be the problem goes back to what I was saying before. There's got to be some way for Blizzard to get money post-launch if there's going to be further development, more skins, more levels, more stuff that isn't paid for post-launch. Like the Necromancer pack in Diablo 3 is going to be a paid expansion, right? Yeah. Whereas, so far we've gotten, 4 new characters since the launch of Overwatch? We had... what's-her-face? The sniper.
Anna, Sombra,
Arisa,
and
is there one more?
Is there another character that I'm not thinking of?
Anna, Sombra, Arisa. Maybe only 3.
I think that's only 3 right now.
But we also had 2 maps. Eichenwald the Dubai one.
There's that one. It wasn't there. There was also the smaller maps that were done because there's the new game modes. Mm-hmm. There's been a bunch of different new. There was the capture the flag. There was the Lucio ball during the Olympics.
Right.
There was
the Maze snowball fight. At
Maze snowball fight. There's the 1v1 maps.
Yeah.
Which is only one 1v1 map, but yeah, and then now they've got the lunar colony. So yeah, I feel like that's. I swear to God, I feel like there was another character that we're not thinking of. There probably is.
That all that stuff is reliant on having some way of generating additional income. So I don't get too hung up on it. No, I think that's it. I think it was just Teresa, Anna, and Sombra.
Yeah. Okay.
So I don't get too hung up on that because I see why. And anyway, thank you, Santiago. This next one comes in from Michael. Michael says, "Hello, Jeff and John. Thanks for reading my question. So I recently had a 3-day weekend because of Memorial Day, and before it happened, I thought I was going to get a lot of gaming done, but it was not the case. I spent the entire time watching videos, sleeping, and considering what I should play, and then the weekend was over. After playing and finishing Persona 5, I tried to go back to Legend of Zelda, Horizon Zero Dawn, but felt like it was a chore. I even bought Nier Automata and had trouble motivating myself to play. My question is, have you ever played a game and then stopped either play something else and then never finished it, or feel that finishing games isn't a priority, especially with new games coming out? Or is it a moment where you have so much free time that you feel like you don't want to waste time and then ironically waste time making a decision? Again, thanks for the content you provide and have a great day, Michael."
To answer the question, yes, all the time.
Yeah.
There's been a ton of games that I'll start playing and then I'll stop because I want to play something else, and then I'll just never go back to that game.
Yep.
Or I'll even admit this last week I haven't really gotten a lot of video game playing done because I really want to play the Overwatch, the current Overwatch event that's going on, the year anniversary event, and I've been wanting to play more of Injustice 2, and I feel like there's another game that the Marvel Heroes Omega. I've been wanting to play more of that. I haven't. I just can't. I don't know what it is, but I just can't bring myself to it is kind of that one thing. I don't know which one to play because I want to play all three,
right?
And I'm kind of don't want to sit there and think about it, so I just end up watching seasons of NCIS on over and over. I'm on season 6.
Hey man,
I've literally watched every episode up to season 6 in order over the last month and a half.
Buddy, you do you. All right, I'm not here to judge. The internet.
I feel like
will
you're
do
judging.
that. The internet will judge enough for the both of us.
I know Amanda judges me.
For me, I've had to get into a situation where, so when I first started back in the Spill days, I would pick the top 2 games that came out every week, and I would force myself to play all the way through them. And most of the time I wanted to, but sometimes I didn't want to. As the gaming generation has moved onward, I feel like Ghost Recon, I don't really play a game. I've learned to let it go when a game doesn't catch with me. It used to be that when I started playing a game, I would finish it just out of kind of stubbornness because I wanted to be able to finish the game. Now, if a game isn't doing anything for me, I feel like my time is too valuable to waste on a game that I'm not interested in, that I'm not hooked on.
I can think of a game that I started playing and then I stopped for some reason, and then I just haven't gone back to recently. Prey 2. Or not Prey, but just Prey.
Yeah.
I started playing it and then I stopped and that wasn't even I want to get to play these other games. It was just I just never went back to it. I just played it and I was like, this is kind of fun. I played it for a couple hours.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's not grabbing me the way I was hoping it would, and I don't think it's as there was all these things that people were like, oh my god, when this happens, this happened, and then I'm playing it, I'm like, this is fucking stupid.
Yeah.
It was certain aspects of it were overhyped to me.
I was here.
We had that conversation.
About it. Yeah,
we talked about it on a podcast.
You didn't like it. You didn't really get it.
And I just never went back to it. I keep wanting to go back to it. I keep I rented it I rented it and I still have it and I can send it back to whenever I want, but it's just I just haven't gotten around to doing it.
No, I totally understand that. For me, it was Injustice was the last one. I know a good game for Jeff when I play it because it's the sort of game where I stop getting other stuff done like Overwatch was like that in a strange way to me, which I didn't expect it to be. Like, Souls or whatever. It's one of the reasons I can tell that Metal Gear Solid 5 is not one of my favorite games, because I haven't really gone back to it. Like, I played it, I beat it, and then I was like, okay, but I haven't really gotten the desire to go back and play it over again. The way that I have other stuff. On the other hand, when I hate to keep bringing up the same game over and over again, but when Hitman came out, and I finally realized what Hitman. I didn't realize in the first episode, but Sapienza is such a great second episode, because that's like you're out of the training facility and you've got this beautiful level that's just wonderful to walk around and do stuff in. And that one really, like, I found myself sitting there just like, I want to get all of these little achievements. I want to find all the nooks and crannies in the map. Like, I want to do everything. And that's how I know that a game is good. On the other hand, like Nier, I had to kind of force myself back to play it. And I see what people like about it. It just hasn't really hooked me as hard as it has hooked other people. And then, of course, from time to time, I'll get a thing like Persona 5. And like last year, I feel like my Persona 5 was Tokyo Mirage Sessions Sharp FE, where I had to be like, okay, here's what's going to happen. On certain days when I don't have any Rage Select recordings, I'm going to go to the store, I'm going to buy 6 beers, I'm going to sit on the couch, and I'm going to play this game for like 6 hours straight. I'm going to play it from like 10 at night until like 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm going to drink all my beers, and I'm going to play this game, and then eventually when I get to stopping place, I'm going to go to sleep. And I just haven't had blocks of time that large to put into Persona 5, which I really want to continue to play. But I was like, I think I can knock out Nier Automata first, and then it's like, oh, Injustice 2 came out, and I want to play that. And like, oh, The Surge is out, I want to play that. And then I get into a whole other problem, John, where because I do this video game show, like, Amanda and I have played 2 episodes of Doom. I really want to just go play Doom like on my spare time. Doom's such a fucking fun game.
Yeah.
Like, I have such a great time when we're playing it, and like,
no, trust me. I had rented. When we were playing Darksiders for Patreon.
Yeah.
I had right before we had decided we were going to play Darksiders, I rented that.
Yeah.
The new version, the remaster. I actually rented it, and I was like, oh man, I can't wait to get into this. And then we started playing it, and I'm like, well, god damn it, I can't get further along than we are, because that's going to bother me, and I can't play along with us because that's going to bother me.
Yep.
Fuck it, so I never played it. I sent it back, kind of thing.
Yeah. So, Bloodborne was like that. I have to keep Bloodborne uninstalled from my PlayStation 4 because if it's on there, I will load it up and just start playing Bloodborne.
I remember you having that problem.
I won't stop either. I'll just keep playing.
Like, I remember coming over and you being like, I didn't get a lot of sleep last night. And I was like, why is that? And it's like, well, stuff was rendering, and then next thing I know, I'm playing Bloodborne, and it was 9 a.m. in the morning.
Yep.
I was like, okay.
I like to get wasted. I like to open up Bloodborne. I like to put on X Gonna Give It To You on repeat, and then I like to play Bloodborne until I die. And when I die, I delete that character and start a new character and get back into it. Man, it's so fun. Like, it's just so great.
Just X Gonna Give It To You on loop.
It's a great track for playing Bloodborne when you're drunk. I don't know. Does anybody else do this? Am I the only one?
You might be the only one.
I might be the only one. Shit. But yeah, I can always tell, and I feel like this goes into more of my own personal philosophy. And John, I don't know how you feel about this, but like, I feel like we live in a time when I've had to give up playing every game that I get to completion, but what's taken the place for that is a real sense of like the Surge, right? I'm playing the Surge. I've realized I'm starting to not have a good time with the Surge, that I'm just getting frustrated. And I have to ask myself, Jeff, would you rather keep playing a game that you don't want to play, or would you rather drink 5 beers and put X Gonna Give It To You on repeat and play Bloodborne? Which one of these are you going to have more fun with in your spare time?
Yeah.
And the answer to that is fucking X Gonna Give It To You, So, so I have to at this point say, Matt Frank was talking to me about how he went to Breath of the Wild and how he's got like 4 shrines left. Like, he's literally continued to play that game, and he's getting to the point where he's almost got everything in the game.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that doesn't sound fun to me. Like, it was fun for a while, and I played it for a while, but I have no desire to complete that game.
Do you get all the what was the seeds or whatever to?
Oh, the Korok
and then got
seeds.
the
Jesus
got the
Lord.
poop.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. Anyway, so that's what I do in these days is just follow your heart, play a thing. I dumped like 4 hours into Oxygen Not Included last week, where I was just like, I can do this better, and I figured out how all the wiring works, and I was like, yeah. But
all I gotta say is, given how much you play X is Gonna Give It to You and Bloodborne, like how much you did that, I was always really upset that you used to give me shit for playing Mad Max as much as I did, because that was essentially what I was doing with Mad Max. Is I wasn't playing X is Gonna Give It to You at the time, but I would sit there and play it and just fucking just doing stuff in the game. Like I wasn't even like, it was just fun.
Yeah.
Also taking photos. I for some reason got really, really into using that camera system for that game.
I don't really understand that.
I don't understand that one either. Like that one actually caught me off guard, that I was like so involved with, I'm going to take this really cool looking photo of this electrical storm that's going on, and here's Max, and oh shit, a car landed on me.
Yeah.
Damn it, ruined my picture.
All right, our next one comes in from Nico. Hey, Nico says, hello, Jeff and John. Here's a more personal question for you, Jeff, but I feel like you can answer this as well, John. We know so much about you. Great, right? What your favorite games are, what you like to eat, some great stories about your past, but we barely know anything about your hobbies and passions besides video games. If someone brought Rage Select for $1 billion right now, what would you like to do? Are there any places you would like to travel to? Any activities you would finally do? Or maybe just buy all the video games? Thanks very much for everything. And that's from Nico. So, yeah, I feel like either one of us can answer this question. Like, somebody just gave you enough money that you didn't have to work anymore. Like, what would you do? What do you do? What do you do then?
Read a lot of comics.
Okay.
Watch a lot of movies.
Okay.
Play a lot of video games. I think those are pretty self-explanatory for me.
Sure.
I'd probably, because I get bored very easily, I would probably, I don't know, like spend time learning how to like kit bash like robot puppets and all sorts of other, like I kind of sort of learned some of that. I just haven't actually implemented it because I'm still trying to save up money to buy different parts and stuff like that to make my own little robot puppets, which I'd like to do something with if I ever actually get made. And then probably like make YouTube videos of stupid stuff on my own that have nothing to do with anything. Like, in all honesty, like if someone was like, John, here's $1 million, and like let's say, or fuck it, let's just say Rage Select got bought for $1 million, and you went, hey John, here's I got $20 billion. Here's $1 million.
Right.
Just for being on part of Rage Select, because I figured, maybe you might be like.
I'm just allowed to go on record here and say that if I got $20 billion, you guys would be getting more than $1 million.
I'm just saying. I would like to think that you would be like, hey, I don't need all of this money.
Right.
Thank you for all the hard work you put in. And not just me, but like everyone that's ever had a part of the site.
John, gold helicopters are expensive, all right? I can't just be giving away millions of dollars.
I'm just saying. I would like to think not even like $1 million, but like here's $100,000 or here's $100 or whatever. Just something.
This card will get you 1 year of free Chipotle. Thanks so much for all your contributions.
Here's a coupon for $5 off your next meal at Chipotle.
There you go. Thanks so much.
I'm rich, bitch! And then run off. But no.
Just disappear into the night. Like, everybody just stops hearing from me, and one day they come over, like, there's just nobody living in this house anymore. It's like, where the fuck is Jeff? Like, nobody knows. Like, Rage Select doesn't exist anymore. He just fucking disappeared into the night like Batman. I don't know. I heard he bought an island. Yeah. I heard he's still out there making Let's Plays under a different name.
Yeah, but no, I would legitimately, I would, if I had that kind of money, totally, I'd buy like a house somewhere and buy certain equipment and probably just do random stupid YouTube videos and like not really care about needing the money. Like it would be, it's all the stuff that I would do if I didn't have to go to a 9-to-5 job, which I actually have to do.
Yeah.
That I would actually, that I would do. But, mostly it would be like in my free time where I'm not actually bored and, trying to make some type of video just to be busy. I would just be playing random video games, watching TV shows, watching movies, and,
if I
and reading comics. I mean, because that's what I love to do. I love to read comics. So.
Yeah, I can honestly say, Nico, that there's not a shitload of Jeff that you aren't hearing about already here, I could say that I do like to travel.
Yeah.
If I had the money to be able to just go places, I want to see Japan, Australia. I'd love to go to places in South America.
I've always wanted to go to Scotland.
Canada.
That's a big thing for me. I've always wanted to go to Scotland. I've been to Denmark, so that was fun. I've always wanted to go to Japan, like you said. I wouldn't mind going and do something in Canada. I would probably also try to finagle a way to go to take Amanda to a WrestleMania for WWE. Like I'd probably travel and try to travel in ways where I could see really cool indie promotions while at the same time going to a WWE event at the same time in those cities. Travel to Chicago, travel to go to the.
It'd be nice just to be able to do those things that some people that are wealthy are able to just oh, you know what? I want to go see the new premiere of the new Marvel movie in LA, and just like, I want to fly. I'm going to stay in downtown LA for a week and blah blah blah.
Yeah, no, totally.
And the other thing that I would probably do, and I don't want to burst your bubble or anything. There's some stuff in my personal life, like I've always, like if I just had unlimited money, I think I'd like to get like a nice car, like maybe an old car and like fix it up or whatever. I would probably make sure that my friends were all taken care of. But I'm honest, Nico, in the fact where I talk about how much I love video games and how important I actually think video games are to this world.
Totally.
If I had that amount of money, one of the things that I would probably do, like if I had that amount of money, like if I had, what was his thing, $1 billion, right? And I was just like, everything else, the first thing I would do is the first thing that all people that are not very impulsive would do is I would buy a house outright for cash. I would give all my friends a big chunk of money to get them change their lives in a good way, because I feel like I'm not I want a big house and I want it to be paid off and I want it to be fine for the rest of my life, right? Once you got the house, car,
totally,
furnishings, and then a little bit of money to basically take care of stuff that can sit and generate its own revenue, right? That's fine. Take what's left over, give some of that to my friends, because all you guys deserve stuff for being contributors of Rage Select. I'd probably do a one-time thing where I maybe, depending on the amount of money that it would cost, to be like, I'm going to find I'm going to go down the Patreon list, and if you give me more than like $50 over the course of Rage Select, I'm going to buy you a fucking plane ticket. We're all going to go to fucking Vegas and we'll wall out in the casino, y'all. Here's $500 for you and $500 for you and $500 for you. Go nuts. We're going to be drinking all night long, burn this place down. But we're
going to drift this bitch.
Once all that was done, if I had enough money left over, I would love to be able to do something like buy IO Interactive and then be like, I want you guys to make the game that you want. I want you to have the freedom. I want to be able to like get somebody. Like I would never try to run a studio because I just don't have.
You'd want to invest in it,
but I would want to invest, and I would want to get people that I knew to take like properties like previous to what they're doing. I would love to have been able to have bought Vigil or People Can Fly or IO or like any of those studios that we've loved that have gone down that have gotten sold off and raffled off, and go, Vigil, I'm going to buy you. Here's money. Make Darksiders 3. Make the Darksiders 3 that you wanted to make. I'm going to give you enough money to do that, and we're going to see this thing through. Or like IO, make the Hitman that you wanted to make. Don't worry about microtransactions. Don't worry about an online season pass. Don't worry about any of this stuff. Let's just go make some hardcore, good-ass video games, and then maybe I'll pay one other person a little bit extra, and then when I get bored, I'll go to the office, and I'll be like, hey, who's the... And they'll be like, oh, God, he's here again. Like, send Jerry over to talk to him. And it's like, Jerry, all right, tell me everything you guys have done in the last week. I'm so excited. I've never seen a game in development before. Just explain it all to me. And then Jerry can take me over into the Jeff room that's like away from the programmers so that they don't get like bothered by me. And he's like, all right, let me show you all the things that we've done. And I'll be like, yay. And then eventually I'll get to make my own dream game. And then I'll make so much money that I'll buy Nintendo and I'll make them run like a good company full of people who are forward-thinking.
Yeah, that's never going to happen.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I do stuff in my spare time.
Yeah.
I'd probably get a slightly better wardrobe. I'd love to have people to like a personal trainer and a chef and things like that, and to quit smoking, have health insurance, blah, blah, blah.
I think, everyone's had those, what would we do if we won the lottery, assuming we actually played the lottery and then won it, kind of conversations. I always find it funny that like most people are like, I'm gonna go buy this huge ass house, I'm gonna buy like 4 cars, and I'm gonna go buy all this, and I'm like, I just want a decent house. I want a car that runs, maybe a moped, just because why not? I want enough, some equipment for recording just to do stuff in my spare time.
Sure.
I don't want anything extravagant. I don't think I'd change my wardrobe at all. I literally don't think I'd change my lifestyle in any way, shape, or form. Like, I'd probably still eat at Taco Bell regularly. I'd probably still eat at Chipotle regularly, Taco Cabana and Burger King, and all that stuff pretty regularly.
I know you, John. You're going to buy a big house, and then you're going to have a Chipotle installed in your kitchen, the one-person Chipotle, where you could just go down and be like, "Bowls! I want a burrito bowl.
Bowls for days."
But yeah, to be honest, Nico, I actually live pretty close to like my own I live a good version of my own life. I don't have a lot to be,
but I do think he is asking, like, what do you do for hobbies? Like, what do you do for fun when you're not doing Rage Select? And like, if you didn't have to do Rage Select, what would you be doing? Like,
I already covered that.
Yeah.
I get drunk, I listen to X Gonna Give It To You, and I play Bloodborne.
Yeah, no, exactly.
So that's what I would do.
Yeah, and that's my thing. It's like if whether people listen to my when I was doing Geek Bombast or whatever for that stuff, that was pretty much me in my free time. Like, that was what I did. My hobby was podcasting.
Yeah,
I like to. That's the thing. I like to talk.
Yeah.
So not being able to talk on a podcast, I figure I like to talk, and some people find me entertaining. So fuck it, I'm gonna put my voice on the internet somewhere.
Sure,
that is my hobby.
Yeah, yeah.
That is what I like to do in my spare time to break from the monotony of everything else.
Buy a lot of VR headsets. Buy a lot of computers.
I mean, I'd probably buy like a couple of different like PlayStation 4s and
like 4K TVs,
4K TVs, and like a couple of headsets so that I can get a full game of Bridge Crew or whatever, like, in one room,
right? Like,
and then like film that shit.
Yeah,
but yeah.
All right, Joe writes in and says, Jeff and John, last week you folks discussed how some people get really aggressively angry about other people enjoying things, and it was very insightful.
Hey, we talked about that this week, too.
Yeah. What I am interested in is how defensive people get when it comes to their favorite movies and games. Okay, Joe, I feel like we already talked about that, but whatever. Let's see.
Hey, don't get defensive, Jeff.
No, I'm very defensive. Change.org petition. Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, and hell, PC elitists can get insanely tribal and defensive about their respective games, consoles, and even billion-dollar companies. Their need for validation has driven me away from gaming Facebook groups and forums because all of these elitists just had to defend their game/console/company to death. Let me calm down. What are your thoughts, Joe? Thoughts about fanboyism? Last week we talked about people wanting other people to like match their opinion, right? We talked about you hear somebody talking about a thing and then you're just like, God, that was the worst. I gotta rip it down,
Yeah, I mean, I also think like in regards to like the Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo like fanboyism or whatever, like, no, Microsoft's the best console. Yeah, but it doesn't have any games. Yeah, but it's not PS crap. Like whatever. Xbone or stupid things. It's because they bought something and they want to feel like they made the right choice. They don't want to feel like they're missing out on something because they chose the console that is not they're like, oh yeah, you have what, Uncharted and you got nothing else, or you have oh man, it has Halo and Gears of War and nothing else.
Yeah,
it's because people want to feel justified that they spent a lot of money on a console that they're getting full enjoyment out of and that they're not missing anything. And so to make sure that they feel like they're not missing anything, they will dismiss or want to prove, like, that's why people will go on the PlayStation Facebook page and be like, fuck PS, Xbox is where it's at, even though it's a fucking PlayStation. Because why would they? Because they want to feel justified in their purchase.
That's you had a whole sentence and it started with that, and I almost feel like I would just trim it back down. People want to feel justified, and this is not just about console wars. This is literally everything.
Yeah.
Literally everything. My favorite movie, my favorite band, my favorite band is better than your favorite band. People want to feel like they made the right decisions in their life. And I feel like I was having a conversation with somebody about this. I think it might have been Amanda after we got done taping last night, where your brain is not a computer. Your brain is trying to keep you alive, and your brain will make your dumb whatever thought you had seem like the most well thought out and important thing whether it is or not, because it's a survival mechanism. Your brain doesn't want your whole personal philosophy falling down all the time. You feel like you're making a bunch of mistakes and you're not living your life right, because that doesn't help you to move forward in the world, procreate, and continue the species. Your brain is like, nah, bro, that was the best decision you ever made, and fuck all those people because they didn't know. You're smarter than they are. Because what possible good reason would your brain have for being like, well, I don't know, maybe you were totally wrong, maybe you just wasted a bunch of stuff on whatever. I mean, like, how many times, the example that I'll give for this, Joe, and it's a lot more complicated than what I'm saying, is like, if you've ever had two friends that were dating and then they break up, and it was a bad breakup between the two of them.
I've had that too.
And you start talking to them, and one person is like, oh my God, she was like the craziest bitch you've ever known. She would get so fucking nuts about whatever. And then you go talk to the lady, and she's like, no offense, but your friend's like one of the biggest scumbags I've ever met in the world. And you know both of them, and you're just like, well, I know both of you, and neither one, like, you both seem to be describing people that I don't know.
Yeah.
And it's because their need to, like, be right is causing them to literally blow certain things out of proportion, or put this thing over here, to construct a narrative in which they're right and the other person is not right. And that's a powerful force that people want to have. And I feel like this is just an extension of that.
Yeah.
Because who again, I'm going to go back to the mantra for this episode. Who could even care whether I bought an Xbox or a PlayStation 4? Let's say you're an Xbox fan and I bought a PS4 because my friends are on the PlayStation Network and I want to play with my friends.
Yeah.
And then you get messed up because it's a piece of shit. And, the Xbox Scorpio's coming. What are you? You're buying an inferior system? And then, God fucking forbid you talk to somebody, a PC elitist, about this stuff, because they've just made this shit into an art form.
Well, again, it's that whole, everything that I can play on my PC, I can play on a console, therefore I'm not missing out on anything. And really, the controls aren't as good on a console as they are on a PC, so therefore PC is better, I'm not missing out. You're the one that's missing out. I've got all these games that will never come out on console, and therefore I don't have to spend $500 on a console. I can spend $6,000 on to have the best PC ever.
Yeah.
I'm justifying my purchase.
It's just, remember, Joe, remember now, people have an instinct. It's not even like a character flaw. People want to be right because it's hard. It's easier to be right. It feels better if you can construct any kind of narrative in your head where the end result of the equation is, and that's why I'm right and they're all wrong. Because it's a lot harder for a person to just go, I don't know, maybe I'm just the worst person and I'm just fucking up and everything what I did was totally wrong.
I'm glad you finally admitted this, Jeff. Now we can move on to improving.
I'm gonna go put on X.
I'm joking. I'm messing with you.
All right, another Joe writes in. This is Joseph, who writes in and says, good day, Jeff and John. 2 questions. If Bulletstorm 2 were announced, fingers crossed, would you want them to continue the story of Gray, Trish, and Robo-Satan, or would you like them to explore an entirely new colorful cast in another part of the universe? If you had the ability to, and 2, if you had the ability to create a new weapon for the game, what would you create? I, for one, would have them make some sort of future sword whose alternate ability would temporarily slow down time, allowing you to dismember up-close foes, a la Metal Gear Rising. I think it would fit nicely into their current arsenal and allow for some creative skill shots. Your loyal patron, Joseph. I am going to go for the part 2. It's a gun, and the gun shoots a chainsaw on the end of a chain, and then you can, like, after you shoot it, you can, like, whip it to, like, one side or with the other, or you can, like, stick it in a person and, like, throw them up in the air, kind of like a second leash, but then it's also got a chainsaw. Or maybe just a chainsaw on the end of the leash. Whatever it is, there should be a chainsaw involved in it. Maybe a gun that
I would agree with the chainsaw on the end of the leash, or some type of blade on the end of the leash, but a chainsaw would be more fun. But yeah, no, I could totally see that. I don't have any ideas for weapons because all it pops in my head is the stupid gun that shoots more guns.
Yeah,
but that sounds more like the Borderlands
yeah,
thing. A gun that shoots guns.
Yeah,
that also shoots bullets.
Yeah,
as it's you're firing them out.
I think there's some kind of just cause tether system where like you could like hit somebody and then like maybe hold down a button to go into slow-mo and like connect a few people and then have them all like zip together and blow up. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not a game developer. About a missile that you'd ride on top of and then it's got a fist on the front and it punches people in the face. I don't know.
Yeah. But as far as the first question, I'd be okay with either.
Me too. I mean,
if they wanted to do more with those characters, I'm all for it. That's great. If they just said, you know what, we've told that story, we don't,
the interesting thing would be if they did, whether or not Bulletstorm 2 will have the same leash mechanic as Bulletstorm 1.
Yeah.
Because that was technically part of General Serrano Chili Peppers Special Forces.
Yeah.
That the leash would evaluate them and their kill skills to give them more ammo or whatever. That was actually worked into the plot. There was a little thing where they talked about it. I don't know that I want to see Gray and Trish and Robo Satan. I think that you get into a problem when you have the same characters over and over again, where you start to become beholden to the story that you've already told, and you're not free to tell whatever kind of fucked up story you want.
I mean, I would also be okay with, like something where maybe they're like a secondary character that appears like in like a scene, or like they make a guest appearance kind of thing, but it's not needed.
You know what I want to play? I want to play a prequel with General Serrano where we play as General Serrano.
Yeah, that's fine. Do that too.
I was actually thinking how awesome it would be if the next Bulletstorm game was somehow like a medieval fantasy game where instead of like long ago, like instead of the leash, you've just got like magic powers that you could like throw people up in the air and then shoot them with a crossbow and stick them to the ceiling and then like, yeah.
So Painkiller?
That was their first game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that was the big thing. Like, you had, like, a crossbow and Painkiller as opposed to...
Oh, a gun?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got guns as time went on, but, like, one of the first weapons you get is a crossbow.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I'll leave it to them. I'll leave it to the creative dudes over at People Can Fly. Like a chain. Some kind of chain. Some kind of chain thing. Anyway, this next comes in from Alfonso, who says, "Hello, my name is Alfonso, and I'm a longtime fan. Question: what has been an original story concept of a game which changed during its development that you thought would have been better than the finished product? Example: the original story of Final Fantasy XII was supposed to be a more mature game, focusing on an older male character of Bosch and following many of the story beats of the OG Star Wars trilogy. For the company demanded the addition of a more androgynous male lead, according to Japanese trends. Thanks, and Alfonso."
Okay, wait. So what was the actual question again?
What has been an original story concept of a game which changed during its development that you thought would have been better than the finished product? So basically we're talking about stuff that took a swerve in development, where the original concept looked better than what we ended up getting.
Oh, God. I feel like there's like a ton of examples there.
I'm going to go back to one of my old reliables, and that's Halo. The original Halo concept was more of a like tactical.
Wasn't it
like
more
RTS.
Wasn't it basically a little bit more different, like a Halo War style game?
I think so. Yeah. There was a real old video back in Macworld where they talked about like the fact that like the Covenant was going to be significantly stronger, and you were going to be waging like a guerrilla war against them, where you were the guerrillas. And I liked that concept more because the Spartans were just like soldiers as opposed to super soldiers. But I liked what I saw there, like all those little, the little fucking guys, like they weren't in there at all. Like it was just the big elites. Like that was it. And then obviously, this isn't a game that changed during development, but I still want to see Prey 2, the human head space bounty hunter intergalactic thing. That game looked like so much fun. Like it had all this kind of Mirror's Edge parkour in first person, but then like running around with aliens and doing stuff.
Yeah, that's the weird thing. Like, I'm trying to actually think. Like, I know there's like a ton of games that I happen to know like stuff from them that I was like, oh man, that would have been cool had it been, had that original idea been done, and then it got watered down just due to time or whatever. But for the life of me, I can't think of anything. Like, all I'm thinking of stuff is like, no, I'm glad that was cut because that seemed like a stupid idea.
Okay,
like pretty much any Peter Molyneux game.
I don't know. If they could have executed the original concept for Fable, that would have been cool. I don't think that it was possible at that time, maybe not even today, to actually fully execute what he was talking about.
No, it's not.
It's a great idea, but it's a Molly new idea. What about Milo? You know, bring back Milo.
Oh God, what the fuck?
Thing's name was.
Yeah, Project Milo, creepy ass little robot kid.
I think that I liked the ideas that I was seeing. Maybe it hasn't changed, but I think I kind of liked the ideas that I was seeing more early on in Final Fantasy. What ended up being Final Fantasy 15 when it was Final Fantasy Versus 13, where it was supposed to be more of like a character action kind of Kingdom Hearts style game, and it was supposed to be set in the
13 universe,
Fabula Crystal Novalis whatever world, which was interesting because the only city that we saw in there was the one in the giant moon in the sky. Like, so I don't know. I feel like that could have been more interesting than it was. I'm trying to think of some of the other stuff that radically changed in development.
Yeah, and again, that's the thing. It's like I'm having trouble remembering like what are the radically changed games that have been, and that's where I'm having problems like thinking in my head. I'm like, well, what games had like I do feel like the one game I keep thinking of that I know was like changed radically, but I kind of feel like it was changed for the better.
Okay,
would be Alan Wake.
Okay,
because originally that was supposed to be an open world in which your actions would also affect not only the characters you would meet in the game, but also the weather of the game.
Okay,
like as certain things would happen, like tornadoes would happen in the city and it would be caused by you and things like that. And I thought that was interesting, but also it kind of came to a point that they kind of realized that there was a lot of stuff that would break narrative in the game, and they wanted to be a little bit more narrative than they were being at the time.
Okay.
And the example they gave is that originally there was a scene where you actually attend a funeral. You could drive up in the funeral in a monster truck, blaring whatever music.
Yeah.
And that's how you could show up to the funeral.
Okay.
And it kind of breaks the mood.
Yeah.
And they were like, so we didn't want to do that. So we basically took out the open worldness of it and made it a more story-driven, game.
Yeah.
And a more focused game. And that's why there's still like the collect 100 thermoses and stuff, because that was all part of the giant open world that they just didn't remove. Those are all leftovers from that.
Okay.
But I don't know if that necessarily would have been a better game.
Yeah. Well, there's some that are obviously like I was just trying to find some examples, and there was a couple in there where I liked the games that they became, but I'm still kind of interested in the original concepts. One of them, obviously, that I'd forgotten about was Resident Evil 4. Remember that one was much more kind of like, there's that first trailer that was a lot more like the darkness kind of chasing Leon. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
No, I don't remember that.
Resident Evil 4 was originally going to be a much faster-paced game, and it was supposed to be a lot more frenetic. And when they started prototyping it, they decided that it wasn't a good fit for Resident Evil 4 game, but what they prototyped then became Devil May Cry. So technically, like, the bones of Devil May Cry was what Resident Evil 4 was going to be.
I do remember that, because that was there was a glitch that was part of that where you could juggle enemies in the air, and he was like, I don't think this works for a Resident Evil game, but I've got this other idea that it might, and like took it to, like, because it was the same director, if I'm not mistaken, right?
So, yes.
And he basically took it to the team that was working on Devil May Cry and said, let's try this out because of this glitch that I saw while making this, and it turned out to be really fun.
Yeah.
And
also, Team Fortress 2 is a good example.
Yeah, that was completely different.
I really go back and look up that very first thing where it was supposed to be like this very kind of military-oriented, like all the guys had like fatigues on, and there was supposed to be this whole thing where like, oh, if you do voice comms, like your character's mouth will move in time with your voice comms, and it looked much more serious, and they had a whole thing about pushing maps forward. So like, and I feel like that's been implemented in later things, but then suddenly Team Fortress 2 came out, and it's just like, what in the fucking what? Like, it was totally different than what they originally showed. Oh fuck, there was something else I was going to say. My God, I can't. Nope. Lost it, John. All right.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. Anyway, we have one more question, and it's not even a question. It's a statement. So I'm going to read it. We're going to finish up here. It says, Dear Jeff, fuck Reddit. Sincerely, Chris in California. P.S. I haven't been able to listen or watch much Rage Select for the past 2 years, but I'm glad to see you cats are still around. I'll try restarting my contributions to Patreon in the next few months. That's good. Welcome back, Chris.
Yeah.
I wish you'd tell me, one, why fuck Reddit? I mean, like, Reddit's a tool. It's neither good nor evil. It's just there. I mean, the free pizza subreddit or the pizza... where people
someone buy me. The rule is you can ask someone to buy you pizza, and if someone buys you a pizza, you then at some point in the future have to buy someone else.
I don't think that's even a rule. I think it's
an unspoken rule.
It's an unspoken rule, but it's just like, hey, I'm on hard times. I really need a pizza, and people are like, all right, I got you covered. Where do you live? Send you a pizza. That's great. That's like the best parts of humanity, and that's just like a tool, like a Reddit tool, where you're just like, I get paid in 2 days, and I don't have anything to eat. I really need a pizza, and people just be like, bam, done.
Yeah.
I think, what is it called? Pizza, something about, I don't know. Or like, there's some really positive Reddit communities, but there's also some really terrible ones too, and I don't know. Also, Chris, what have you been doing for 2 years? You've been living listening to Rage Select. Come on, man. We had some of the best episodes ever in the last 2 years.
Oh, man. And if you do subscribe to Patreon, like if you do like support us through Patreon, because you said he's going to try to support us, you go back and watch our fucking Metal Gear Solid playthrough, because I still think that out of you and me's like sequential stuff, I think that's the best one we've done. Just because I infuriated you so much not letting you have the controller.
So let's see. There are 3 videos a week times 3 years. No, wait. Hold on. Math. 3 videos a week times 52 weeks in a year. It's 156 videos in a year times 2 years. It's 312 bonus videos that you have not seen yet.
Yeah. But seriously, you should totally watch the Metal Gear Solid playthrough on Patreon, because I personally feel like it's our best thing that we've ever done, mainly because I have the controls and Jeff is literally losing his mind the entire time.
I think I don't have hair anymore. It all just fell out.
But I'm just saying, fucking check it out.
Okay. And with that, we're done. So the Rage Select podcast. Thanks, everybody, for writing in. Mail at rageselect.com is the email address. Send it in. Make sure to try to, put question in the title. I almost deleted that loot boxes one because it just said loot boxes are bullshit in the subject line, and I get so much spam in that mail folder that I was like, I just look through it and scan for the word question. If it doesn't have the word question in it, I'm just like gone. Anyway, that's it. Thanks, everybody, for watching, and we'll see you next week.
You know what I'm going to say to that?
What's that?
Hasta la vista, baby.